Hi there and welcome to this week's update. This week's update is very kindly sponsored by a friend of mine, Mahi Yegerix, and she's the local distributor for all of Equine America's products. And they make a range of supplements and healthcare products for sports horses, and various ones that I particularly like. There's one here. This one, I have one version at home and one in the lorry. It's called Equilin or Equilin, and it's a washdown product, and it's one of the few that doesn't contain any banned substances, because we have to be really careful about that on competition yards, because the consequences of having a positive dope test are really quite horrendous. And a lot of similar washdown products have camphor in them, which is a banned substance. So it basically helps refresh the muscles after a hard workout. You dilute it in water and wash them down with that. As you can see, Aronia is helping me today, but you might be able to hear Williams getting cross about that. The other thing I like using it for is in winter on a clipped horse. They come home from a workout a little bit sweaty. I boil a kettle as soon as I get back. Put in hot water, mix it with a bit of cold, because I don't have running warm water here. Put in a bit of that and just wipe them off with a cloth or a bit of a slightly damp sponge. And they seem to dry quicker with that in the water than if I just use warm water by itself. Another product they make, which I've had success with, is head shaker. I haven't used it for a while, but I did have a mare that was quite a bad head shake, particularly in the spring. And she seemed to stop on that, so it's that time of year, it might be of use to someone, that recommendation. So yeah, anybody local, Mahi Yegerix is the place to go for Equine America products. As you can see, it's Aronia here. We went and did that dressage competition last Sunday, and I'll show some footage of it. It felt pretty horrendous to me. I just felt like a beginner. I couldn't sit to her trot. She was like a plank of wood. And although she did show some good bits, there were some discrepancies in her behaviour. She did rear up a couple of times. And I should have stuck to my guns as well. I knew she didn't. I tried her in my dressage saddle a couple of times and she hadn't seemed to like it as much as the jumping saddle. And then I sort of chickened out and thought, oh well, I'll look stupid in a jumping saddle. I will put the dressage saddle on her. It can't be that bad. And she was worse than she is in the jumping saddle. So my fault. Should have stuck to my guns. Anyway, we took her to the vets today, and The good news is the vet reckons she's actually must have quite a nice character to have kept going as long as she had and to show bits of good work in between the bad bits. He says that he's a holistic vet. He's called Werner DeVos, so he has a slightly different approach. He examined her, physically, and then he did a blood test. He says that she's got a lot of pain in the right side of her body, which kind of coincides with. It would explain why when I try and bend her to the right, she tilts her head rather than bending through the body. And it would explain why even in the field, loose, she finds flying changes very difficult behind unless she actually jumps over something. She's really, really doing her best for the camera. Anyway, he reckons that she's been fighting some kind of viral problem for months, or that she hasn't even been fighting it, she's been suffering from it, and her body for some reason hasn't recognised it and isn't trying to fight it off. This has had knock-on effects throughout her body. Her liver is not in a good way, and he says her muscles are basically being starved of both the energy that should come from her food and oxygen that should come from the blood, and that basically she's in a form of cramp the whole time, and that maybe the adrenaline helps, but it's not a long-term solution, and it would explain why building the work up and up was just making her worse and worse. And I'm pleased that he thinks it's something like that. She's such a sweet mare, as you can see, and it didn't fit that her behaviour was so extreme under saddle. So anyway, she's got some. He treated her with some homeopathic stuff there to kickstart her body to recognise the virus, and then to start trying to heal itself, and also so it was something to do with the liver. And then I've got to treat her with a homeopathic remedy 3 times a day for the next 3 weeks, and she'll go back in 3 weeks. And she's to work gently in the meantime, and gradually build it up. In about 5 days before we go back, just push her a little bit more and see if the extreme reactions are still there. He hopes that that'll be enough. He says it is a possibility that we don't solve all the problems just by tackling this one. But he doesn't want us to try sort of 20 things at once and not know which works and what the problem was in the first place. In other news, and that was the other funny thing. Whilst we stood there, her owners were there as well, and we had a long chat, standing around waiting for the blood test results, and we were talking about one of their other mares. And they said, she had one foal at 4, and we know he was by Darko, and we think he's called Thibaut. And I said, that's funny, I know one of them, about 10 years old. So I texted Louise Morley, who I went to for show jumping training a few weeks back, and I was right, my hunch was right. Her Thibaut, who's her top horse at the moment, is the famed one and only foal that their other mare has produced up until now. But the exciting news is they hope she's in foal to their own stallion now, and that they will have a relative to this illustrious show jumper on the way. Speaking of illustrious show jumpers, William wasn't quite that on the Bank Holiday Monday. We went to Chapeau Sabot for the 125 Grand Prix, and he jumped very, very well. He was a very good boy. It was a very technical course. Quite short distances at the beginning of the... quite forward distances in the first half of the course. 3 doubles, and then towards the end of the course builders shortened the distances slightly to test whether you could bring them back. And we had 3 fences down, all back bars and foxes, and every time you can see on the video the parabola of his jump, it's when I'm just a little bit too far off, and he just can't get the height and the reach at the same time to make those back bars.
Tête entre une petite tête comme ça entre ses genoux. C'est bien fait pour les gens. Ils ont pensé pour dire à Louise de haut. Tu vois, moi qui lui a demandé de s'en toucher, nous on a mis
So we're going to look at various training methods and also to see if there isn't, you know, some way or another we can give him physically the support he needs to be able to just push that a little bit more and make those back bars. But you know, it was a pleasant day out. Chapel of St. Boys is always a lovely place to go, especially since a childhood trainer of mine has taken it over recently, and I wish them all the best. They're doing a great job, and here's to a successful season for them. So anyway, off to Tongan this weekend, and I look forward to updating you on that next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.